It's the cat's ass. That's right. Super 3D Mario World. Today on. Meow.
No, it's meow.
Right, we're using that. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Press B to Cancel. As always, we're bringing our B game. Not alone, no sir. I'm joined with GP of the Retro Therapy. How you doing, GP?
Doing well. Wolf, I have to ask you, are you getting royalty checks from MGM for that tiger growl? That was wonderful.
It's Bowser meowing and roaring at once. God.
You mean Meowser?
Yes, after he puts on that cute little cat bell for the last fight of the game, yeah.
And Wolf, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I've been working through Super Mario 3D World this last week, so I've got a pretty fresh handle on it.
All right, so I guess that's the topic this week. We're talking about Super Mario 3D World, which is a title that originally came out on the Wii U, for folks who remember that one, back in 2013, that's the version that I played. I have not played the newer re-release, which came out this year, 2021, on the Switch, which has some additional stuff to it. But for you guys, did you guys play the Wii version or the Wii U version or the Switch version?
I had played a little bit on the Wii U. I was living with a cousin of mine a number of years back, and he had it. That's really the only exposure I've ever had to it. The thing is, up until looking into some research for this particular episode, I didn't realize that was the game that I had played because, and we'll talk about this more, but so many Mario games to me now look the same and kind of play the same. So I didn't really know, and I still don't really know what all I have played and haven't played, but okay. I have played that one and I liked it.
All right. So you've mostly played the new one then? Yes,
Bowser's Fury. My kids and I play that one. That's pretty good.
Okay, so you also play with your kid. All right, good.
Yeah.
Wolf, how about you?
So I played it on the Wii U up through like World 6 or 7 and didn't finish it then. I am currently on the Secret Worlds right now. I'm on the last of the Secret Worlds on the Switch version. So I was trying to get it all done before we recorded tonight. It did not work. I got like 6 or 7 levels left because one of them was taking me like a half hour.
Well, you know what? That's fair because, so I played the Wii U one when it first came out on my own, and then 2013 is also the year my second daughter was born. And funny enough, that same kid is playing it now, but not on the Switch. We dug out the Wii U when we were moving, and she asked, "What's this thing?" And immediately drawn into this controller that's like the Switch, but more durable. So I'd rather her play with that.
Tell her that was the original iPhone.
What's that? The Wii U Pro Controller?
Uh-huh.
But so I had her play on that, and she loves it. And she's gone through almost the entire game on her own, except for me helping with a couple bosses here and there. But when she hit, you're saying the Secret Worlds, World 7, World 8? Is that what their number they are?
No, there are more.
Okay, because I can't remember. I know that there's what you think is the final Bowser world. And when you beat that, you go to a second one. And that's the one she's stuck on. And to be honest, I'm stuck on some of those stages because it gets kind of quite difficult toward the end of the game. So I can believe it gets harder, but there's more worlds.
Yeah. So to spoil a little bit, I mean, the game's pretty old at this point, so I feel like it's fair to spoil, even though it's pretty fresh to the Switch.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about spoilers.
There's worlds 1 through 6. And then there's World Castle, World Bowser, World Star, World Mushroom, and World Flower. The numbering convention in this game is awful, by the way.
Yeah, no kidding. So those are full-on worlds of like a dozen stages, like the other ones are?
Yes and no. So, World Star is, I want to say, about 9 or 10 levels.
Okay.
World Mushroom was, I think, 7, and World Flower is like 12. And World Mushroom and Flower share the exact same map.
Oh, interesting.
It's weird. You literally just cross from one little piece of island to another, and boom, it just changes from world mushroom to world flower, and you can just seamlessly travel back and forth by foot.
Well, you know what? Now I feel like an asshole because so World Castle, basically, my daughter was struggling to get enough stars to fight the last, Bowser on that map. And I kept saying, "That's all right. You got it. You got it. You're almost done. You're almost done." Trying to motivate that child. And then when we realized that there was a World Bowser afterward, she almost quit. And I've been pushing her. It's like, it's the final world. You're almost there. Stick with it. Get good, scrub. And now there's 3 or 4 more secret worlds afterwards. She's going to throw the switch at me.
Okay, so here's a thing to consider. Those secret worlds, the difficulty spike on those is massive. We're talking like Star World from Super Mario World difficulty spike.
Okay. Yeah, those are quite tough.
It's that, and I mean, it literally is World Star, but then there's also World Mushroom and World Flower. And I think Star is new stages. Mushroom is stages with a few tweaks to be harder that you've already done before. And I think Flower does that, but even worse.
Okay. You know, then she probably won't need to play that. Do you get credits after beating Bowser in that first pre-special world?
Yeah, once you beat Bowser, you get credits.
All right, because she's like me. Once you see credits, she's usually done.
Yeah, it's
So-
honestly, I was just trying to power through these last ones to have more experience in the game to talk tonight. Otherwise, I'd already start on Bowser's Fury because I was trying to get 3D World done before starting Bowser's Fury, so that way I don't just leave 3D World alone a second time.
Right. So I know that Wolf, you don't want spoilers for Bowser's Fury. I have not played it. And GP, I guess you have, so I'll turn over to you for a second. But from what I understand with Bowser Fury, it is quite standalone, I think, story-wise and setting-wise, and it's not a full game. So maybe GP, you can talk about Bowser's Fury for a little bit without spoiling anything.
I don't think he's going to be able to spoil much. I saw my kid play probably like 40 minutes in total of it, different points.
Okay.
Okay, first off, before I completely spoil the fuck out of Bowser's Fury, I want to say what I need you to do, if you don't mind, Jake, is sorry, sick Jake. I don't want to dox. If you could have your daughter beat that game, and then when the next world shows up, turn off the system, tell her she needs to chill, and then play Super Ghouls and Ghosts. And then she can be introduced to Loop 2, and then she will, be down here in hell with the rest of us.
It's fair. You're right. She has not learned truly the pain.
Right.
That is that unexpected forced Loop 2. Sure,
Right.
You could skip it, but then you don't get those credits. Those shitty-ass credits and Ghouls and Ghosts.
Right. Because, I mean, that's the thing. After experiencing that kick in the balls, I don't think that any other false ending will ever hit so hard. And
I know.
Yeah, from the videos that I watched and the homework that I did for this, there's a couple different false endings with 3D World. Now, regarding Bowser's Fury, oh, man, there are so many Mario games that have come out. 3D Land, there's 3D World, there are any number of other multiplayer kind of side-scrolling stages type games where I, honest to God, like I said at the top of the episode, I don't really know what all I've played or what all I haven't. Now, I know for a fact that I've been playing Bowser's Fury because I remember the title, and my son is like obsessed with it.
Right.
It's kind of just more of the same. There's this overworld that you can walk around and you can approach the different stages from any angle. It'll tell you how many stars that you've gotten out of like the 1 or 2 or 3 in the stage. There's a couple of bonus stages where you can get 10, and then you just have to keep accumulating these stars until you get, I think it's 170, so you can go and do the final like Bowser World carnival looking thing that's really cool looking, and the game plays smooth and looks great. I think both of these games, Mario World and then to a lesser degree, but still importantly, Bowser's Fury, they introduce a lot of new power-ups. And really, if I were to say there's going to be a takeaway for these kind of installments in the Mario mythos, it's the number of power-ups that they continue to expand upon or expound upon. For example, with 3D World, there's the cat bell,
Right.
which the whole idea, I think, for Mario 3D World was just, let's make this fun and sleek, but cute as hell. All the different versions of the cats, like even Goombas have little cat outfits that they can get. And the Bullet Bills and, Bowser. And it's cool and it's well thought out, climbing up stuff and the attention to detail with, as you're a cat, if you're climbing up the wall, you leave little scratch marks. Like, it's all very cool and very graphically beautiful and fun to look at. But there's not, with the exception of the power-ups, too much distinguishing these games apart from each other anymore, in my opinion. That's just my own experience. Because, again, I don't even know which games I've played because it's all Mario. You know what I mean?
Well, when I look at the gameplay of Bowser's Fury, particularly, it is different than the main game in that it's more of the open world. It reminds me of Mario Sunshine, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Where there's just like the 3D perspective and you're moving around this open map. But do you actually go into separate stages, or is all the star collecting on that one map?
Actually, that's a great question. I'm not
I'm pretty
even
sure it's just one map.
It's just the one map.
That's what my knee-jerk reaction is, but honestly, my kids play it enough in between me playing with them that I'm just kind of there for cleanup. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, hey, we need help with this one. Can you come play? Yeah, of course. But the stage designs are great. There's a level of, puzzleness, I guess, to the platforming, which is a lot of fun. It's very well designed, and it's fun. It's popcorn. It's not addictive, in my opinion. Like, I can put them down, but it's a fun experience, and I think the reason I like it so much is because I like playing it with my kids. I don't see it as a game that I would sit down and like obsess over on my own.
Right.
Not to say other adults won't. I mean, if you're out there and you absolutely love 3D World or Bowser's Fury, that's absolutely great. But my own sensibilities, that's what I'm speaking to.
Well, so I do love 3D World quite a bit. And I think the main reason for me is before 3D World, it was there's a 2D Mario. Was it the new Super Mario Brothers?
Yeah, it was the new Super Mario series. There's New Super Mario and New Super Mario 2, I think both on DS and maybe 3DS.
But there's one on the Wii as well.
Yeah, there's New Super Mario Wii and New Super Mario U. So, I mean, the naming conventions, again.
Well, like GP said, it's so confusing to figure out what they are. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's why I don't know what all I've played because, goodness gracious, not to upset anybody or get anybody triggered, but there's a Jim Gaffigan stand-up routine about how a lot of times like Mexican food is just the same thing in different prepositions. Like, what's a tostada? Well, it's a shell, with meat and cheese and vegetables. Oh, what's a burrito? Well, it's a tortilla with meat and cheese and vegetables. And to me, it's kind of that way with these games. It's a lot of the same stuff, just packaged differently with a couple different things here and there. And each one is just as tasty as the last. But I couldn't tell you what I ate last, if that makes sense, to carry on that metaphor.
Perfect sense, because that's what I was going to say was Mario U or Mario Wii, those two, the 2D platformer Mario games, while they are well designed, they're okay, and they're fun if you play them, but they're entirely forgettable. I remember so little from those two games, almost entirely forgot them all. And then there's nothing memorable that stands out. Like, if I asked you what was the power-up in Mario 3D World, most people know, oh, it's Cat Mario. That's like the thing, right? And it's a very rememberable power-up and mascot for that game. If I ask you what the signature power-up was for the one on the Wii, I can't even remember the name. Can you guys even name the power-up?
It's the propeller hat thing, right?
You know what? I even forgot about that one.
Or was it the ice? Was it the ice flower?
Forgot about that one too. Shit, there's two. The acorn squirrel suit is the one I'm referencing. That's the signature one.
I don't even.
At least I remember it
one.
is. But you're right. The propeller hat and the ice flower. I forgot all about those two.
Well, then they also have like the kind of completely nerfed one, right? Where like if you've lost five lives or more, you get the invincibility tail, which is pretty cool. But
well, 3D World has that as well too, and that's where that's why I like to say, hey, I'm so happy my 7-year-old daughter is able to play through most of 3D World on her own. But really, what I'm saying is, she dies 20 times on a stage, gets the invisible power up, and can beat it. I'm still impressed. But that accessible power up is definitely a godsend for games like this.
It is. I will say that for sure. That's what let my kid get pretty far on his file on 3D World back on the Wii or the Wii U.
Yeah.
But sometimes even he would have trouble with that just because the platforming gets tricky. I mean, I'll admit, I have levels where I fell off the level probably 25, 30 times because of some stupid thing, where either I was having trouble timing the jump, or I would just misjudge the jump and fall, or just be running and get hit by something and not jump in time. It's just always, I fall off a lot. And somehow I still have over 200 lives in the secret worlds. So it's not like the game is stingy with extra lives by any means.
Yeah, and if you die, you basically, the levels you beat are still beaten. You just have to go back to the beginning, and some of the side stuff is there, like the mini encounters. Like, it's very considering accessible, right, for all ages, but there's still challenged if you want it. And 3D World does it really well with the green stars you have to pick up, or, well, you don't have to pick them up, at least not early. They're mostly optional, but they put some of them in places that are quite tricky to get to, and if you die, you have to go back and do it all over again, right? You only get to keep it if you actually get to the flagpole at the end. So it's difficult, but if you really just want to breeze through the first few worlds, you can totally do that too.
Especially as Peach.
With the floating, yes.
I mean, I've basically played the entire game with Peach unless there's some button on a stage where I have to go back a second time as one of the other characters.
So you should explain the guys to the characters, because this is kind of neat. This goes like a throwback to
Mario 2
right?
on the NES,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
All the characters are very much stat tied to how they kind of were in Super Mario Brothers 2 on the NES. So Luigi jumps high, he runs a little faster, but he's very slippery, very floaty, and in 3D.
He's still useless, you can say.
Pain in the ass. I love him. I love him on Mario 2. I love playing as Luigi on Mario 2.
Really?
In 3D World, I can't stand it because it's so easy to misjudge a jump as it is. And when you're slipping and sliding in 3D, I'm not interested.
I don't like him at all.
But, I mean, Toad is super efficient. He's real quick, jumps short. Like, his arc is easy to read, easy to remember.
He's the most literal character. Just in terms of, you press a button, that's exactly what happens. No delays, no extra movement, just very punctual, very staccato. You know what I mean? Just, there it is.
He's the workhorse of the Mushroom Kingdom, right? He's the one who does the real work. Toad's the unsung hero.
But he's also the only one with like a major wardrobe change if he gets shrunken down. Like his big form, he's got like, I think it's a white cap with blue shroom spots. But once you get hit, it reverses to where he has a blue cap with white spots.
I didn't realize that. Huh.
I do know from like the one on the Wii, especially with the ice flower power up, like it's like they ran out of colors to palette swap, and he gets a very funky, weirdly colored blue and red, which doesn't quite fit Toad.
Right.
I see why they did that. What about the other character, the hidden one? Have you guys played as her?
Do we want to spoil who it is for people?
Well, I mean, this game came out in 2013.
Yeah, it's been 9 years.
All right.
What is today?
Yeah, Bowser's Fury, totally fair game because that's new, but the old game, I think we're fine.
So this secret character is unlocked in like the 3rd level of World Star, I believe it was. And it's Rosalina, as you would expect, because you actually start seeing the little, what are they? It's like star bits and the little star creatures hanging around on some of the levels.
I think they're just bits.
Loomies.
Yeah,
Loomies, that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you see star bits and loomies hanging around on the level that you get Rosalina. And then you start seeing them more often throughout World Star as you proceed. You unlock Rosalina. I don't like playing as Rosalina. It messes with my head because she doesn't float. She's got a dress and she doesn't float, and it screws with my head because I spent the entire game playing as Peach.
She's an intergalactic space princess. She already floats.
What is her special thing? Is it that she can smack things when she doesn't have a power-up?
I have not unlocked her, so I don't know. I didn't even know she existed in the game until the re-release. So now I'm convinced now. Maybe I didn't beat the Wii U version because I don't remember playing as her.
My brother recently went through this, and he was trying to tell me that she had a double jump or something. So I was like, all right, I'll give her another shot. I went back. No, there's no double jump. I went back and played as her, and I was miserable for one whole level, and I was mad.
She has a spin attack, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
She's the black cat. Like, everybody has their own, like, kitty color. And she's black one. I don't know. She's kind of bae, I think, for Mario. Yeah.
She's my favorite character in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Nice.
Yeah. She's like that tall vampire lady in Resident Evil. It's the same energy.
You want her to step on your neck?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Can't always be Toad.
I mean, you could.
All right.
Why would you?
So I guess to finish up the power-ups in 3D World, because it's not just the Cat and Mario as well. There's also like the cherry power-up where you clone yourself. And most of the stages that use that have several of those. You can end up with like 4 or 5 copies of yourself on the screen at once.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of controlling them together. And that was fun too. I remember liking that a lot.
And if I remember correctly from the history stuff that I was reading on it today, that power-up actually came as a coding error or a not on purpose glitch. Something happened and it duplicated the character.
It was a mishap with trying to play 2-player in initial development. They selected 2 Marios or something like that instead of separate characters. And then both Marios were controlled by the same player.
That's awesome.
And so they turned this weird happenstance of a bug into a feature with the double cherries.
I feel like that's a lie. I feel like somebody in the dev team just got done playing through Ninja Gaiden 2. And they said, hey, it'd be great is if we had a mimic and let's make it happen.
We'll just tell Miyamoto, hey, it's this bug, but we think you might like it. And that way, if he doesn't, it was just a bug. And then we don't get fired.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I love those levels with that kind of power up. Mm-hmm. It's pretty neat. I think is that, and there's like a Boomerang Mario one as well, I think, in this one.
Yes, so there's the Boomerang Brothers suit where they end up donning the helmet and the shell and the boots and everything and toss out a little boomerang that goes out and comes back. And it's a boomerang-shaped flower?
Yes, right. Like the petals, yeah.
But it can also be used to pick up items, if I'm not mistaken, from across the screen.
Some stars even, too.
Yeah, you can collect stars with it. And the stamps,
which there's so many. Does the ice flower need to exist, or they've just got the same thing accomplished with the fire flower? Well, I guess that's not a great example.
The ice flower is aside from Galaxy. I don't think the ice flower has made another appearance in a 3D entry.
Right, where I was going with that is how many of these new power-ups or upgrades really accomplish something special or unique. And I like the idea of having a projectile that benefits you in a way that is not necessarily or only offensive. It's not just used for attacking people or killing bad guys. It can be used passively to accomplish things like getting things from across the room. You can't do that with Fire Flower.
So this is like we were talking outside the podcast about an episode idea of not a main Mario game, which we consider 3D Mario World kind of like a side to the main series, right? And in that spirit, though, there has been another game where you're shooting something that picks up power-ups or picks up items, and that's the Super Ball power-up from Mario Land on the Game Boy, right? You didn't get the Fire Flower in that game. You had the Super Ball. Effectively looks like a fireball, but it bounces and it picks up coins. So that feels very similar to the Boomerang, right?
Okay.
So the idea of picking up items. So that's kind of interesting how it's just like these side games experiment a bit with the power-ups, where some of the main Mario games kind of stick to the basics. Well, that's certainly changed with Odyssey, because Odyssey is definitely a main Mario game, and that's out to lunch.
Actually, I haven't played Odyssey yet, which I feel bad about.
Really?
I have a Switch, and I was so hyped for it when we got the Switch, but I got lost in other things, and I haven't played it yet. Now, I have to tell a quick story, because my wife listens to the podcast, and I want her to know that she was right.
We're so sorry.
Okay, as you just mentioned, we had a small discussion about what is like the main canonical line for Mario and what are these offshoot games. And I had put the idea to her, I'm like, wouldn't the ones with numbers just be the main thing, like Mario 1, Mario 2, Mario 3, Mario 64? And of course, it's not actually Mario 1, it's just Super Mario Brothers. But
right. And Mario World, it's not a number at all.
Right. So, but again, this is my relationship with my wife, where I will say everything, and then she will tell me how I'm wrong, and that way I can refine what makes sense. No, and I'm being serious. I don't mean that as like a backhanded compliment like husbands make. Like, this is why we work well together, because she could be like, this is where you're wrong. And I listen to her most of the time. So anyway, I had said, so if there's not a number in it, maybe it's not right. So like Super Mario 3D World wouldn't be that. And she goes, so you're telling me there's not a number in Mario 3D World? I'm like, no. And she stared at me and just blinked. And I'm like, oh shit, there's a 3. There's a bit, like, that's where my mind is, to where the word 3D is not even a number. It's just a concept.
That's great.
That's good.
Yeah,
well,
it was.
Okay. When I first learned of Mario 3D World, we're going back a little bit, I was like, oh, cool. They're revisiting the idea of Mario World for the Wii U, So they're finally going back to sort of Mario World basics, like way back to 16-bit design ideas and implementing them into a new game. And in some ways, I feel like that was an accurate assessment, and in other ways, I was way off base. So there are things about this game that I absolutely love, and things that highly disappoint me. Just as a Mario game, and partly as a game that sort of implied that it was a follow-up, at least to a degree, to Mario World.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the idea that, it's literally different themed worlds. It's not something they do a lot anymore, but the fact that they did it for this one, I thought was really cool. Until you actually go into the levels in those worlds, and the levels don't give a rat's ass what the world theming is.
Oh yeah, totally. Completely different theme
It's completely
in any
irrelevant.
stage.
The map could be like World 1 is grasslands and hills. World 2 was desert, something like that. I don't know. But like, you go to these worlds and then you go into a level and it's like, oh, we don't care. It's made of chocolate. It's like, what? How did this happen?
You're totally right.
I'm a little bit frustrated by that, because it feels like the level design team and the world design team were not on the same page. Or maybe they just got the idea that, after they had designed a bunch of levels, they were like, hey, let's do this with the world and it'll be neat. And it is kind of, but it's also frustrating. Another thing that bothers me, especially when going...
Before you move on to the next point,
okay,
just piggyback on that one.
Sure.
I think, so before this game, there was Galaxy, that 1 and 2, and they're the same though, right? Where you had like a galaxy theme, but each individual stage in those galaxies could be completely random, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I think it's kind of, they kind of kept that, I guess, where the idea is just you have the theme of the overall world, but the stages themselves completely separate. And it's also, I guess, would make a great randomizer if 3D World ever gets one.
To me, Galaxy felt like the logical next step from Mario 64, because there would usually be multiple goals on a single world, on a single, Galaxy level, that would make it to where you'd have to go back and it would be reframed a little bit, or the path would be altered somewhat, but it'd be very much the same place. So that's kind of where I put Galaxy. Whereas with this one, when you have a dozen levels in one world, it could be an ice level on a fire world for all they care. It throws it off a bit.
No, you're 100% right. I didn't really quite realize it until you mentioned it, but you're totally right, where there's just a disconnect between the theme of the stages in the world. It's kind of interesting how they've done that.
To its detriment, because a lot of the levels are a lot of fun, but I feel like the fact that they did that takes away from the game somewhat, because I don't remember any specific levels. I couldn't really tell you of many levels offhand that I played through in the game that I've been playing through all week.
Well, some are memorable because of like a unique situation, like the cherry power up. There's a few sequences that use that I'll remember. the Nessie levels where you're sliding on Nessie's back down some kind of water slide type of deal. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of those that I remember. But even like with Mario Brothers 3, for example, right? I feel it's the same thing. The only levels I remember in detail from Mario 3 are the first couple stages because I'm constantly restarting that game. And then like the ones where it's like the World 2 has the sun stage, for example, or the airships and stuff are memorable. But there's still a lot of stages in Mario games that are kind of forgettable. And I think 3D World's the same way.
Yeah, maybe. That could be it. There's just a number of levels in 3D World that probably about a minute into it, I'm like, let's just have this level be over with because they don't seem as fun to me.
Wow.
There are some levels that are a lot of fun, and I hit the end, and I feel like I've had a good time, and I achieved it, I found everything, and there are some levels that it's just like, just let me be done with you.
Okay. Well, the good thing is like the stages overall in 3D World are quite short. Like I always feel like I'm running out of time more often than not.
Well, I did a level today that was in one of the secret worlds where you start with 30 seconds on the clock. And there's little clocks everywhere that add 10 to your time as you're running around.
Oh, I love those kind of things.
You know what? As much as I hate the stress that it throws at you immediately, I end up really enjoying those levels that they do that with.
Yeah. You know what that reminds me of every time? And I don't know if this is the original version of that or not, but do you guys remember Back to the Future, the video game? You had to collect the little alarm clocks so that your the characters in your picture who were fading out would not fade out so quickly.
And you didn't want to crash into the panes of glass or...
Right, and you're throwing bowling balls at everything for some reason.
Because that's exactly what happened in the movie.
Yeah, I feel like somebody just described the movie briefly to whoever developed that game. They're like, yeah, we got this. It's fine. But anyway, the whole collecting clock dynamic always takes me back to the Back to the Future game.
Huh. Did not connect
There's
that.
the other stages, too, in 3D World that have a similar idea. They're not toad houses, but they're like funhouse style, where you enter. There's like 6 or 7 stars in them, so you want to do them. But you have to it's like a one single screen, one after another, a star in each. And if you screw it up in the 5 seconds, you have to start over again.
I think they're called mystery houses or something like that.
Yeah. And those are stressful because you have seconds to get the star on each screen. And some of them are kind of, you get like one shot at that tricky jump sequence to get it. But once you beat them, they're really satisfying. And as much as I hated them at times, they're totally worth doing. And they totally feel great once you've beaten them.
Yeah, those ones are always satisfying. Same with the Captain Toad levels. I always really enjoy those.
They're neat.
Which, it's a wonder I haven't gone and bought the game, but I think I don't enjoy them enough to make an entire game out of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I almost bought Captain Toad. Because you're right, they're fun, but are they fun to play this for 20 hours?
Right.
in its own game. I have to ask with Captain Toad, because there are some differences between the Wii U version and the Switch version. But I know in the Wii U version, Captain Toad was great because you would move the controller around to rotate the levels and stuff. Is that still present in the Switch version?
I couldn't tell you because I don't have it.
GB, do you know?
Oh, I'm trying to not that I've seen, but I don't want to say no and then be wrong. And people are like, how do you not know this? But
yeah, the 3D World community be in an uproar.
Right. I would think that if it's not on by default, it could be turned on because that was a feature of Breath of the Wild in handheld mode where you could manipulate the angle of the screen by spinning around. And my wife thought I was ridiculous when she'd see me contorting on the couch in various directions when I was playing that. But that's because it was mimicking what the Wii U's gamepad does when you spin that around. So I'm just being a doofus, like upside down on the couch. My wife's like, what are you doing? I'm solving a puzzle. Leave me alone.
I'm playing my game.
Yeah, you could blow into that and that would affect the game also, right?
Yes,
right, and so that's the thing that's not on the Switch, right?
Taking that away on the Switch. There is a control scheme disconnect to a degree on the Switch where there are certain features that aren't present in the same way because the tech is different. I don't even know how you would interact with the items on screen that require you to use the touchscreen if you're playing on the TV, because I've literally not played Mario 3D World on the TV. I've played the entire thing handheld mode.
Okay.
And there are little sliding doors that you actually have to tap on the screen to get them to open. I don't know what that's like on the TV.
Or if I remember right, certain bad guys, or maybe even all the bad guys, if you touch them on the handheld, they'll like freeze. They'll pause for a few minutes.
Yeah, you can stun them. You can
stun them.
Stop flipping blocks in their path for like 2 seconds, something like that.
Yeah.
So I do know for the blowing part, because it's funny with my kid, because she got stuck on one level of these platforms, and she couldn't jump from them. There's nowhere to jump to. And then she saw me blowing into the controller, asking me what the hell I was doing. She wouldn't phrase it that way, I hope. But then she realized when you blow in the controller, those platforms have propellers in them, and they move. It's cool as hell, right? Like, it goes back to Famicom style, right? Blowing into the second controller microphone. And I like it. But in the Switch port of the game, those are just regular platforms. They just changed it. And I'd imagine it's the same thing with the sliding doors. I think you just walk up to them and they open when you hit A button or something. They took that part out, which is a shame.
Well, like I said, in handheld you can still touch everything the way you would, but yeah, the blowing to make platforms move is gone.
Yeah, so that's a shame. But it's like Nintendo's constantly changing their tech, like the gimmicks, and it sucks that the one time the microphone gimmick was interesting, but they took it out, right?
One other thing, so the other point I wanted to make about Mario 3D World is, especially toward endgame, there are times where you want to go into a level with certain power-ups. Pretty much in 3D World, you have to go back to a previous level, collect power-ups, and beat the level with them in order to have those power-ups to go to the level you want to take them to.
You can't do the pause and quit?
If you exit a level before you've finished it, you go back to your starting position, like how you were before you entered, minus any lives you had.
Oh, yeah, that is annoying.
Yeah. So you don't get to keep power-ups if you just exit the level midway while you've got your power-ups. It's gone. And I kind of miss that. I also kind of miss being able to unlock a secret area that's just like, you need goodies? Here's goodies. Because I use that like crazy in Super Mario World, where there's just that little spot in, Donut Plains, I think
Behind
it was?
the ghost house.
Behind the ghost house, yeah. There's just that little spot in Donut Plains where you can just run in. You can grab a Yoshi, you can get feathers, you can get flowers. Boom, done, And
yeah, I don't know if any of the other Mario games have done something quite like that, though. Although, to be fair, it's easier to get power-ups in some of the other Mario games than it is in 3D World.
Yeah, I feel like it's severely missing in 3D World.
I think, can't you also get over 1,000 lives in 3D World?
Yeah, I was reading that there's an infinite life trick, basically. I haven't tried to perform it, because I've got 200 lives, I don't care.
Yeah, with my daughter, we ran out of lives a couple times, but it's not a huge deal. It throws you back to the start of that world, but all the stages are still beaten. The only thing that comes back is the toad houses, which is beneficial, and sometimes those on-map encounters, I think they come back. It's never a headache, really, if you lose lives.
Yeah.
We should probably talk about co-op play. Oh, sorry, Wolf, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, it's definitely not a punishing Mario game, which is great. It's very kid-friendly. I do like that about it.
And I think it sounds like playing with our kids is what we've all three of us have done to a degree. And like this game is a up to 4-player co-op, which is fantastic and crazy annoying when two of them are kids. But I love multiplayer Mario, right? A lot.
I was going to say, I think we tried playing as a family a couple of levels in Mario 3D World back on the Wii U. It didn't work out. We were all getting very frustrated with each other. The wife got done with it after a few levels, and then it ended up just being me and the kid for any time he wanted to play.
Well, it depends on play styles too. Like my wife and I, we have polar opposite styles of Mario, where for her, she has to get every fucking coin on a stage. She's not happy unless she's achieved every single collectible on a stage, necessary or not. And I'm like, I'm running, always be running. It's Mario run, gotta run. Forrest Gump, all the way to the end of the level, right? And it drives her nuts, or drives me nuts. I'll be trying to steamroll to the right, and she's going left to get coins we missed. So it takes a lot of patience from both our parts. And then if you add in two kids who just want to just sit in the middle of the stage and not go anywhere, or fight over who gets the crown, it's just hilarious.
I would like to point out the trap of the coins for a lot of people who may not have realized this. Look at the level design of most Mario games. You'll find that coins are usually the trap to lead you to death. Well, trying to get all the coins is a good way to die. I mean, it's you want coins to get extra lives. I get it. But a lot of times the coins are also they're guiding you on, the teetering on disaster when you're trying to get all the coins, basically. Mm-hmm. If you're willing to leave coins constantly, you're safer.
You're safer, but then even going back to the original Super Mario Brothers, if you're not getting those coins as you play and getting those lives, once you get to World 8, you're screwed, right? Unless you want to use a cheat. I think it's the same idea through all of them, where it's your benefit to collect at least majority of the coins, but I'm not going to stomp the Goombas and grab a couple coins, right? As long as I keep moving.
Yeah. I think the only time I ever purposefully try to get coins is if I've gotten enough coins just through regular gameplay to be close to getting an extra life. And if I'm particularly low on lives, due to a story I'll tell you here after this one, then I will go out of my way to attempt it. But it's rare for me. Because, I mean, like you guys have said, it's not hard to come across extra lives in these kind of games. So really, what's the point of all the damn coins? But that said, my son, let me give you an idea for what his personality type is. We like to have dance parties in the car as a family. And so we'll each pick a song, myself, my wife, my daughter, then my son. And we always go for high, intensity, energetic music. And then to break up the cycle, he will put on his lullaby tracks that we have him listen to when it's time to go to sleep, just to mess with us. And he thinks it's the funniest thing. And we're always like, we're not listening to Sleepy Paws. And he's like, no. I'll play something else. We're like, okay. And then that's what you hear. And it's like, oh, dude. And he cracks every time. So his favorite thing to do, it used to be whenever he would start a stage, he would pick up your character and yeet you off the side of something. And he would just be like, it's like it was a sacrificial life, to the gods in the hopes that he would have a solid rest of the stage. I don't know. But he thought it was good sport. And so we used to get mad at him, how you were saying, you could play with family for a little while, but then it becomes why are you doing all this? We don't need that. Let's just go get the thing and get out of the stage. Because if you get the thing and die, you don't get to keep the thing like the star. You have to finish the stage like you said earlier.
That's not true in 3D world, though. If you get the star and die, you keep the star. And you can just ignore it. Well,
you never used to. In Switch, I think you might now, but not in the Wii U version.
Oh, is it not in the Wii U?
Bowser's Fury isn't that way. I know because right before I came down here, we got this green star because we're only 3 away from being able to go to the final Bowser, one of the 4 final Bowser lands. And that's what he did. We started the stage, and he threw me off the side. I'm like, dude, if you're going to do that, I'm not going to play with you. He's like, I'm so sorry, Dad. And then we get the star, and we died because he kept doing that shit, and then he died, and then we had to go back and redo it. So anyway, that's my kid. He's brilliant, and he's a bit of a troll in those ways, but he entertains himself, and I love him.
Or like father, like son. To be honest, your whole house sounds like a family of trolls.
Wow, my whole family sounds like a family of trolls.
Dude, you just said.
Well, no, I have to troll you about it now, clearly.
Just hearing that story, he is just like you.
For better or worse, yeah.
I was just going to say, some of the stages where lava's involved, or there's a sequence of platforming that can be a little tricky, moving platforms and such. I'm playing with my kids, and my wife's usually given up. But my kids can't make some of those tricky jumps, so they'll die and they'll stay in the bubble, and they refuse to get out of the bubble until I finish the sequence. But if I die, doesn't matter how many lives they have, because they're in a bubble, we instantly have to start all the way at the beginning of the level. Right. And it's infuriating. There's some stages where if they would just follow along and not bubble, we could probably have gotten through, so that if I die, I have a chance to come back. So there's a couple of parts there where I'm just like, you guys figure it out. I'll come back.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've just like, there's a star that is way out there, and I'm like, well, if I go get that star, I'll die, but that star. So I'm just like, well, I got a bunch of lives. I'll just fly out there, grab the star, fall to my death, and then ignore it next time because I've got it.
Yeah, if only, right?
But yeah, I now that you mentioned that, I think that was an issue. That was an issue on the Wii U, and that might be why my kid and I kind of stopped playing, because he's a troll and does that same thing where he's like, "I'm gonna pick you up and throw you off the level. Bye." And so
it's only funny once. And then it's just, nobody wants to play with you.
You do it once, and it's funny that time, and then they're like, oh, well, that was funny. I'll do it some more. No, it was funny.
All the best co-op games, though, have stuff like that, where it's just, there's elements for trolling. And the multiplayer Mario's been great lately. It's kind of a shame that Mario Odyssey only has the 2-player mode is one player controls the hat. Which is the lamest multiplayer ever.
Yeah. I think the kid and I tried that a little bit, and neither of us could really get into it.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up on an hour.
Snap already?
It seems to sound like we all like 3D World.
Mostly.
Small doses.
Mostly.
Small doses.
Okay. All right.
Well, I mean, I like it better than some of the other things that they've been doing, yeah.
It's better than Sunshine.
Low bar's low. Although, you know what, though? Sunshine, again, I'm not a fan of the game, but at least it has a plot and a story to it, right? I give it that. Whereas 3D World, there's not just 3D World, all the modern Mario games really have very little in the way of plot.
Well, there's plot, but not much, like, new plot. You know, I guess the biggest plot advancement is he's not kidnapping Peach. He's kidnapped these fairies. I forget what they're called.
Yeah, I don't remember what the fairies are called, but they're also from another world because...
Right, but the name of the world is the name of the fairies as well, and I can't think of what it is.
Oh. Well, the gang is just cruising along in the Mushroom Kingdom and happen upon a new glass pipe. And so Mario and Luigi fix it, and they're like, "Oh, well, this is new. Let's go for it. Let's see what's on the other side." And that's how they find their way into this other world where Bowser has kidnapped all the fairy queens or princesses or whatever. He's basically Ganoned himself in this alternate reality.
Snap. Sprixies.
All right, now I can't stop thinking of the gritty reboot of this, where it's not a glass pipe, it's a crack pipe.
That's what I was thinking too, yeah.
Super Mario 3D Crack World, yeah.
It's the Sprixie Kingdom.
I know for a lot of the game, it's not exactly a secret how big the game is, given how many stamps there are. So, you know, you beat that first level, you get one stamp out of God knows how many, because there's just a big empty page of them. And then, like, even when you're coming up on, World 7, the Castle World, there's a whole bunch of stamps left, and it's like, man, how much game is left? I've got to be nearing the end. They've stopped numbering the worlds.
Actually, you're right, but because we didn't collect them half the time, because we never really found much use for them, right? Because the chat thing that the Wii U used to have has long since been shut down, so they have no purpose. So we haven't been collecting them, but you're right. It's just like a huge page of stamps, and you're probably, 3/4 of the way through by the end of Castle World?
Yeah.
There's still so many left.
A whole bunch left, and it's like, wow, how many are left? So, you know, I wasn't surprised to find another world after the Castle World. What I will say is, after beating the Castle World and cruising up that very, very long pipe up to the amusement park world, which is World Bowser, my initial thought was, holy crap. Bowser has managed to build this massive amusement park and this massive fortress well in the sky. If he used his powers for good instead of evil, imagine what this guy could accomplish.
Sustainable farming.
Sustainable farming. Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
You know, how much more arable land could Japan use, you know, if Bowser was in charge with this, you know, construction and urban planning ability that he has?
I mean, he figured out how to support this massive amusement park with one pipe on an end of it. Like, dude's got engineering down, or at least he's got engineers who know what they're up to, you know?
That's the thing. Like, where are the benefactors here? Like, I used to wonder that with Mega Man. Who keeps giving these scientists all this money for these giant mansions to do evil? And I guess you don't have to really worry about that or wonder that too much with Mario because there's coins just laying around everywhere. But yeah, the amount of good that he could accomplish if he decided... He doesn't even have to kidnap people. The number of weird, like... You know what? I'm not even going to get into that. But the number of people who absolutely are thirsty for Bowser is insane. So...
It occurs to me that the economy in the Mushroom Kingdom is just so messed up that they're literally handing out extra lives for $1.
I would like to litter
go
the
there.
streets, like trash,
It's
because the inflation is so bad.
Yeah, it's a cleanup at this point.
Right. What's the going rate for one life? I just find 100 coins and it's yours. Yeah. Well, how am I going to do that?
100 pennies is what you're worth.
Yeah, just they're laying around. Go fucking pick some up. Or see those little mushroom-looking guys? Jump on them. They're guaranteed to have a coin. Their lives are only worth one, and there's a lot of them.
Yeah, your life is worth 100 of their lives.
Good to see Mario in court. Mario, you've been charged with mass murder of people of the Mushroom Kingdom. You have to pay the fine. Oh, yeah, how much?
Yeah, right.
200 coins.
14 million Goomba lives? Oh, but you're telling me I'm guilty of killing Goombas. How am I going to pay for this? I'll go kill more Goombas. You'll be fine.
So many coins.
Right. That's like being convicted of being a bank robber, and the only way you can afford to post bail is to go and rob another bank.
All right. Is this a type of series, like this style of Mario game? Is this something you'd like to see them bring back? Because they haven't really... I mean, this is a re-release on the Switch, but otherwise it feels like with Odyssey, they're kind of going back to that 3D style.
Well, I mean, they just put out, the sequel or whatever, Bowser's Fury, so... I think it's popular enough with at least a subsection of Mario fans. So if they keep making them in that vein, yes. I think I like these better than that other offshoot of the Mario games we were talking about earlier that now I can't think of what it is.
New Super Mario.
New Mario Brothers on Wii.
Yeah. I like this kind of thing, the 3D world, better than those.
I will say I agree with that sentiment. However, the multiplayer on the original New Super Mario, not multiplayer, but 2-player versus in New Super Mario on the DS was an absolute blast. Like, my brother and I spent hours and hours and hours playing that. Way more than the 1-player game.
I don't think I've played that. You know what? I might have played it once or twice with my wife, but we're usually the co-op deal. Was it like Mario Bros. 3 battle game, or?
No, it was, you're literally in a looping level, and the idea is to try and kill the other Mario character.
Oh, okay.
Shoot them with fireballs, jump on their head, get the Mega Mushroom, and just walk at them, stuff like that.
That sounds pretty awesome. Yeah, I have to check that out. So,
New Super Mario, on the whole, kind of forgettable for me. But that 2-player versus in the original, oh man, that was some fun. I can't say I want more 3D World in its current form. I would like to see a more thought out themed world in the future, more along the lines of the original Mario World if they keep this going. But I think there's a lot of design elements that they got right in 3D World.
Well, the one thing I like is probably the difficulty, how it is more challenging. Uh, but where it suffers though is toward the end of 3D World, you're damn well forced to get every star, and I think that's a bit punishing, right? Like I said, my kid's been playing through, and she's doing amazing, getting almost all the stars in the early worlds. But there's some that she hasn't been able to do, and when she got to that, the Bowser world, and I think it's 170 stars to get Bowser to open up. That's like almost all of them, and that was a bit much. But then you look at Mario Odyssey, they went the complete opposite approach where it's moons in that game. And there's moons just everywhere. And some take you like 5 seconds to find. You butt stomp near a dog and you get one. It's ridiculous how common they are. So it went from being like, you need everything collectible to, take what you want. So I kind of want like a middle ground where it's challenging stages like 3D World, but you don't need all the damn stars. I wish they would do that going forward.
Well, if Bowser's Fury is what I think it is, I think I'm going to really love that and hope for more of that in the future.
Right, because actually that sounds like open 3D world or a 3D world Mario, right?
Yeah,
But,
like
more
Odyssey,
collectible
but
stuff,
not
yeah.
hub worlds, just one big world, period.
Yeah. That sounds interesting. I was debating on picking this up. I think I might pick it up. Because now I realize without Rosalina, my life's not complete. And it means I did not beat it all the way through.
Yes, she's not too far into the secret worlds.
Can you convince yourself that Peach is just Rosalina in cosplay?
Look, we're friends, but we can't be if you try and put Peach in a blue dress. It doesn't work.
Okay.
She's not 8 feet tall.
There you go.
Doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Okay.
This game would rate higher if Daisy was a choice.
You think so?
I like Daisy. For me, it would rate higher if Daisy was an optional character.
Okay. Interesting.
She's in Smash, right? Yeah, she's in Smash. She's like the California girl.
Yeah.
Like, hi, frying pan.
We need to do a Smash episode.
I think she was
do.
a recolor for a long time of Peach. So you're just playing Peach in Daisy colors, but then in the newest Smash, she was actually slightly different stats and her own character, I think.
Yeah, she's got an Echo Fighter, they call it, which is like Sakurai's dumb term for characters that are separate but basically the same. And then you hope for more Echo characters, and they don't ever come. All you keep getting is guys with swords. Anyway, we do need to do a Smash Brothers episode. I could totally talk about that game.
Absolutely.
I like it a lot.
All right.
I think I'm out of words for this. I'm sorry. I'm searching through everything now, trying to remember all the little factoids I had set aside for this game. I think that's all of them for me.
I mean, I'll admit it was a fun game. I'm not disappointed I got it again. I'm not disappointed I played through it. But I am ready to be done with it. It's definitely better in doses than in like just forcing yourself through the game nonstop. Because that's how I was playing it before this week. Was just a level every day or two, And then this week, I think I went through 4 worlds. So I think I got a little burned out on it.
Yeah, I can see that. It's definitely a game that's great for pick up and play in small doses. It's perfect on the Switch, I think, for that. Because the Switch has always been to me a system I can take to bed or on the bus for half an hour, play a few stages, and then put away. And not worry about it, right? Right, that's not bad. Although I am sick of all the Switch ports of Wii U games. Until they bring NES Remix over, I won't be happy.
Well, but think about that. And again, that's a whole other episode, a whole other discussion. But there's probably some really great like hidden gems for the Wii U that people never found out about because the system didn't sell.
I think they're all on the Switch now.
but I'm glad that they are because...
Yeah.
The one
That's
I
me.
think that people have been asking for and Nintendo has kind of outright said won't happen is Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Isn't that one coming out, though?
No, I don't. Not that I've heard yet. They re-released Xenoblade Chronicles 1 from the Wii, But X was
one
online.
coming
It was
out
very
this year
Fantasy Star. Is there?
Yeah, it's a remake of or remaster of one of the earlier ones. It's hard. It's speaking of series that have confusing naming conventions, right?
I gotta look this up.
Yeah, I know there's one coming out this year. I know people have been looking forward to it, and I only know of it because it has nothing to do plot wise with whatever the one I played on Switch was, which is the one. Wow, how bad am I with this? I have no idea what it's called. It's the one with the Rex in it, and the one that's coming out this year is completely different characters and story and setting.
Yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be a new game. But
Really? Oh, okay.
Xenoblade Chronicles X was quite different from the other ones, and I know, like, massive tangent at this point, but it was more like Phantasy Star Online because it did have online multiplayer, and it worked like that. So you could join other players in their world, or they could join you in yours, and you could take your character across. And then it also had it harkened kind of back to where the Xeno name comes from, seeing as it's the same designer as Xenogears and Xenosaga. So it's got the giant mechs again. So it's
I have to look this one up. Was this Wii or was this GameCube?
This was Wii U.
Oh, okay.
It came after Xenoblade Chronicles because that was Wii. This was the Wii U entry, and then Switch got 2. But it's basically like Phantasy Star Online with giant robots.
Yeah, I do like the fantasy sci-fi setting. Like, I love Phantasy Star, like, lore, right? Phantasy Star 4 is my favorite, but yeah, I love that style. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, that's totally another episode.
Yes, for sure.
All right. Well, 3D World sounds like, great in small doses. Great for co-op, as long as you have patience. That's cool. All right, folks. Wolf, where can people find you?
You can find me streaming on Twitch or, just spouting random garbage on Twitter at WAREWULFF.
All right. And GP, where can folks find you?
Well, lately it's been primarily here on Press B to Cancel. Once upon a time, I was a fairly regular Twitch streamer, and hopefully we'll be getting back to that just as soon as possible. But in the meantime, keep checking back into Press B to Cancel, or if you want to look up any of my drum content, drum covers or silly videos, you can just go to YouTube and check out the Retro Therapy. There's also some speed runs on there. But yeah, that's me.
All right, and I am Sick Jake. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter, SICJAKE. Mostly just lurking these days, but I do stream once in a while. I'm trying, as a teaser, what I'm trying to do is do that BizHawk shuffler script a little bit more from Author Blues, and that is a lot of fun. So I'm going to be doing a little more of that in the near future.
Don't forget,
and if you like
I was going to say, don't forget to check us out on Discord and Patreon.
Yes, I was going to say that, but you're right. Continue.
Shit, I never remember. I'm so bad at I gotta start remembering these. I'm like trying to be professional and then immediately super unprofessional. Go me.
Are you talking about the links? I got the links here.
Yeah.
Well, at least somebody's got them because we don't. Oh, fuck off.
Oh my god.
I did the same.
Even Paul's not here. He's still here in spirit.
I had Paul send me the mouth noises because I can't do them. And I got Jake with the exact same shit at the exact same point in the episode yesterday.
He told me, Paul told me about that last night.
Tell him it worked.
I hate you guys so much.
But we love you.
Yeah,
remember,
right.
me and
you can find us on Patreon and Discord.
My entire
we don't know
family
the
are
links because we're professionals. But if you go to Press B to Cancel on Twitter, there's a post at the top that has all of them things there. Or you can find us online. We actually have a website. We're professional like that. PressBToCancel.com. Otherwise, you listen to the show on Spotify, Google, or Apple Podcasts. Mm-hmm. Sorry?
I said, and it's got our links.
Yeah.
Yes, it's got all our links.
Join the Discord and at me to let me know if you want the download of the Pulse mouth noises for your ringtone. We'll make that happen.
No, you got to start charging for that because if
you
how much money.
I'll put it on the Patreon for download. How's that?
I love it. Yeah.
You know what? Do it.
I'll drop that in the next couple days and just boom, there you go. People who want it.
That's the value we provide for you,
Yeah.
our Patreon subscribers.
We talk about movies usually on there. But,
yes.
Or over movies.
The current episode for this will be in May will be Mortal Kombat.
The 1990s Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
Yes.
not the
Clarity.
Right. Yeah, we're all looking forward to the new one.
Oh, yeah.
All right. All right. Thanks, everybody. Until next week.
Peachy.
Dress and peach up as Rosalina. Blasphemy.
Special thanks for music go to Arthur the Last Ancient on Spotify or The Last Ancient on Bandcamp. For more episodes, please visit our website at pressbtocancel.com. And also, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Patreon. As always, thank you. This has been
Press B to cancel.
So what's your trick for getting rid of hiccups?
Just don't get them. Or,
No, that's herpes.
herpes, yeah. Man, I have really been fighting off a flare-up of hiccups lately. A hiccup flare-up.
That's a problem. I'm
Well,
telling you.
don't use that last part. Everything was good up until the word herpes.
You guys ever try to fend off the hiccups as you feel they're coming on and you just like sit there and freeze and focus?
Like if you play dead, it's not going to catch you.
Yeah, does that not work for you guys? Because it works for me. Every once in a while, like I'll feel the hiccups coming, and I just have to like stop and focus on preventing them. And everybody looks at me like, "What are you doing?" Because like it's like I'm on pause. And I wait a moment, and I'm like, "I was preventing the hiccups."
It was an internal struggle. But, I think, and probably everybody who's ever going to hear this will agree with me, I do that with farts. Like, hiccups are not a major part of my life.
Do you? If you let one loose, they just keep coming? Is that what's up?
Yeah,
Rapid
kind
fire.
of. It's like, one gets out and they're all like, let's go, the doors are open. So kind of, this is, okay, we can't use this, but I'm going to say it. I guess my farts and sperm are kind of like Q, where they go one, they go all. Now, again, please don't use that, but that is a good joke. Fart anon. That would, if I was on any of the Chan sites, that's what I would be. That would be my anon name. It's probably already taken. Never mind.
Fart Chan's guaranteed taken.
Fart anon. Like, yeah. I try to be anonymous whenever it's happening.
Oh, man.
But no, like, I think my, they always say, like, your reaction is fight or flight. And this is not a joke. This is a real thing. There is another option, which is freeze. So it's freeze, fight, or flight. And typically whenever I am in public and I feel like that gastronomic push, it's usually the freeze. I don't feel like fighting anybody if I got a fart. And I'm certainly not going to run anywhere if I got a fart. So I freeze.
You gotta hold that. You gotta lock it down.
Yeah. So I am thinking I approach the stratagem for preventing farts the way and as intensely as you approach not having the hiccups. Sorry.
I could believe that.
Yeah.
To be fair, the only person who understands what I'm going through when I do that is my mom, because she does the same thing.
She sounds delightful.
Now that we're 3 minutes in, should we clap?
Yes, we should. Because
right, cool.
editing's hard.
Sure.
All right. 3, 2, 1.